You're watching CHCO-TV's gavel-to-gavel coverage of the March 2024 regular council meeting for the Municipality of Eastern Charlotte. I'm Florence Mitchell. In today's meeting, council will discuss a purchase of property located at 20 Industrial Drive in Blacks Harbor and the authorization of short-term borrowing for that purpose. Peddler's Bylaw EC-11 will have its first and second reading. Terms of reference for an age-friendly community advisory committee will be discussed. Finally, council will discuss a letter to the Honorable Mary Wilson, Minister of Service New Brunswick. Now let's join council at Macadavic Place in St. George.
I will now call the meeting to order here at 7 o'clock here at Macadavic Place, St. George. Good evening and welcome to the March 2024 regular council meeting for the Eastern Charlotte Council. This is our 15th official council meeting for Eastern Charlotte. We have 26 more to go until the end of this council's term. I welcome all those that are attending tonight and those that are watching us on TV or their cell phones tonight as well. I want to welcome Florence Mitchell in the back, Vicky Hogarth doing the camera work tonight, and of course Chris McKinnon is sitting in for Jason. Jason's on vacation this week, and also Daryl, Councillor Tidd is on vacation, and Councillor Lee is out sick tonight. At this point, I'm going to ask for a motion for adoption of the agenda. I'm going to go to my deputy mayor for that.
Hi, I move to adopt the agenda for the meeting of March 20th, 2024 of the regular council meeting with the deletions of numbers 10A and 10B.
We have a motion on the floor. I need a seconder for that. Councillor McQuarrie, thank you. Question or comment on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. 3 is your opportunity to declare a conflict of interest. This is your chance. If not, we move ahead to number 4, which is the adoption of minutes of previous council meetings. And I need a motion to accept the minutes for the February 21st, 2024 regular council meeting. Councillor McQuarrie? Okay. I'll let you go ahead and read that out.
I move to accept the minutes of the meeting of February 21st, regular meeting of council.
Great. Thank you, Councillor McQuarrie. I need a seconder for that. Councillor McKay? Question or comment on the motion? Councillor Dedorakis?
Yeah, I just noticed it, just reading through the minutes. I brought this up before, but the minutes are not consistent or complete. So it's important that, because council and the public rely on accurate information and reporting. And so if you look at section, which was it? It was related to, yeah, it was under old business. It was related to the Blacks Harbor bylaw amendment to the rural plan. I gave my reasons for why I supported the motion, and I'm not sure why that's not included in the agenda. Sorry, in the minutes. So I would like to make a motion to amend the minutes with my reasons for supporting it, which included support for industry to invest in housing for their employees, and because the local representative, Councillor Adam Hatt, supports it as well.
Did you get that, Chris? Yep. Okay. I'm going to need a seconder for that. So I'm going to Councillor McKay for that. Okay. All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary. Okay. Now we're going to go back to the original motion with the amendment added to it. Any questions or comments with the amendment? If not, all those in favor of the motion with it being amended signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. That moves us on to 4B, which is the February 27th meeting, and we need a motion for that tonight. Councillor Thompson, thank you.
I move that we approve the minutes for February 27th, council meeting, as circulated to the council meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. I need a seconder for that. Councillor McKay, thank you. Question or comment on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. That moves us to 4C, the March 12th meeting of council. I need a motion for that. Councillor McKay, thank you.
I move to approve the minutes for the meeting of March 12th, 2024, closed meeting of council as circulated to members of council.
Thank you, Councillor McKay. I need a seconder for that. Councillor Thompson, did I see your hand? Okay, great, thank you. Question or comment on the motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. That brings us to business arising out of minutes. There are none. Delegations, there are none tonight. That brings us to department reports, and I'm going to Mr. McKinnon tonight for the general government report.
Okay, general government report for February 2024 as prepared by Jason Gadet, CAO. Housing and development, continuing working on several subdivisions of parcels in Blacks Harbor. Still awaiting finalizing of 2 to 3 development agreements with developers in St. George and Blacks Harbor. These properties pose good development opportunities. There's one RFP on a single-family lot in Blacks Harbor with one submission and one other RFP extended. Parks and Recreation, we're working on completing the upgrades for the arena. There's a quote for fence repairs for play areas at J.O. Spinney Drive Complex. Scheduling area work for relocating the Blacks Harbor Playground from Main Street to the arena area. Employees and personnel development of a supplement to the current HR policy, which will cover a number of items such as clarification on overtime, casual workers, and designated work areas. Water in Blacks Harbor met with the private entity which owns the water source on future improvements and long-term plans. For roads, there's a quote for the beacon crosswalk system for a crosswalk in front of the high school. Over the last few years, the beacon systems were placed at high traffic areas. We're also scheduling contractors to start work on new sidewalks in Blacks Harbor and surface work to the Manor Road in St. George and Arena Street in Blacks Harbor, all part of the gas tax plan. There's also some quotes for portioned paving as well as curb repairs. A plan to review recommendations in traffic report for 2 intersections in St. George with council in the next month. 2 roads in Blacks Harbor are being more properly subdivided and classified. Meeting with the landowner on one road in St. George on requirements for final receipt to the municipality. Jason also met with regional CAOs on cooperative initiatives relating to garbage collection, economic development, and insurance options. And that's the general government report.
Great. Thank you, Mr. McKinnon. Question or comment on that report? If not, we'll move ahead to the report of Southwest New Brunswick Service Commission, and we have Alex Anderson here tonight. Welcome, Alex. Nice to have you here.
All right, so for a planning update, PRAC approved a subdivision in Utopia. This was a private access subdivision and involved 2 lots and 1 remnant. And this is on a pre-existing subdivision. It's completing that subdivision. Last week we held a roundtable with CAOs around the region with the housing hub and the housing specialist. So we looked at different planning tools that are available to municipalities to encourage housing development. We had a building bylaw part of the package for council for this meeting, but I believe that's going to be pushed to next month's meeting. And so you'll have a report and a draft bylaw to look at for that meeting. The rezoning bylaw for 65 Wallace Cove Road is ready to be sent to the land registry office, and any development agreement with the developer would also need to be registered there too. In terms of development, there's 15 building permits to date, 1.1 million, and 2 variances or terms and condition approvals issued to date. On the variance, that is a 3.8 foot variance, so very minor variance, that was issued by staff. And this variance was done with consultation with neighbors, so there was no objections to that variance. As well, on enforcement, 43 open files are being worked on, and 26 files have been closed to date for compliance. So that's with Dangerous and Unsightly, Community Planning Act, or building code enforcements. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Before we go to question and comment, would you like a bottle of water right there?
Oh, sure.
To help us out there. Yeah. Yeah. Question or comment from Councillor? Councillor Hatt, you're first.
The rezoning bylaw that we passed here last time for the Wallace Cove property, when you say that's gone to land registry, there was a condition in that wasn't till the public works area and high industrial traffic was moved out of that. How does that impact in that?
So with that development, with the development agreement, my understanding is there's a timing associated there. So if you want to have the development agreement signed with the developer to say, we want to delay the development till this date when we can move out the public works yard, you can do that. And that would have to be registered with the bylaw for the rezoning. So if you want to have the development agreement signed, that's something which you will need to have. And also, if that development agreement hasn't been worked out, that's something which council will have to look at. So when you made that motion for your third reading, ideally you would have made that resolution to do the rezoning subject to a development agreement. So I believe if that was done at that time, then you could enter into that development agreement. So that's what we recommended at that time when that rezoning was brought to you. So if there's a need to look at the development agreement, I'll coordinate with the CAO and the clerk to look at that.
That was a stipulation of that motion that was put forth of council.
That there be a development agreement?
No, that there would be no rezoning of it until the public works building was moved.
Got you. So in that case, what we would look at there would be essentially part of your motion. So it's a part of the resolution. So what we'll have to do is get the wording from the clerk, and that will actually go with the bylaw. So it acts kind of like a development agreement, but it's a little bit different. So it's not like a separate contract.
Any other questions or Councillor Dedirakis?
Alex, for the bylaw it's not included in our package, right? But it says it like an example of what this bylaw would include. So it's like it says establishing a time frame for the expiration of building permits, for example, that must start construction within 6 months from a permit issue date. How does this bylaw expedite building and the completion of new houses?
So that's looking at the potential building bylaw. Okay. So essentially the idea with this is that you have these building regulations already. The province has the Building Code Administration Act and the general regulation. And if you don't have a building bylaw under that act, you fall under their general regulation. It substitutes a building bylaw in the case you of not having your own. There's only certain things you can change and deviate from the general regulation. And those can include things like having that terms and timelines for when a building starts. It doesn't necessarily do what you're saying. So it doesn't potentially make more construction happen. But what it does is make sure that when it does, people are actually starting the projects, and that we don't have a bunch of permits that are sitting out for years at a time where the projects never actually begin. There's an incentive for the developer to actually start the projects that get permitted. So there's that. It actually provides that sort of motivation to get the project going.
But just to touch on that, like I understand there's like the motivation to start with, like say in this example, with like within the 6 month period. But what about actually finishing the building projects, right? Because there's certain developments that have been going on for a long time,
yep.
Right? So is this something that we could include in ours?
Well, you could include it. You could include a sort of time frame for when the permit will expire, no matter what. I wouldn't recommend it. Because like you said, some projects can take multi-years to finish, and there can be a variety of reasons for that. You run out of certain materials that you need for the project, or you have to change contractor midstream. This is possible, it happens. So we don't recommend you putting a hard and fast permit expires after 1 year or something like that. But at least putting a time frame when they have to start at least, that's a good idea, just as we talked about.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Mr. Henderson? If not, thank you very much for coming in
You're
tonight.
welcome.
Appreciate it. That brings us to the fire report, and I'll call on Councillor Thompson. Thank you.
For the month of February 2024, there was 19 calls for Eastern Charlotte Fire Rescue. I'd like to thank all the members that have done and finished and passed their emergency medical responders training, and a huge thank you to all the other members who are continuing their training on various levels. The new parapacks have been arrived, and they've been handed out to all the new departments. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Before I go on, the community of Eastern Charlotte, I just want to speak to the firefighters, are so fortunate to have we're very fortunate to have a great group of volunteers that put everything aside to help their fellow residents. I come from a family of firefighters, and I know firsthand that it is difficult physically and mentally to do what all of you guys do, or girls. It is demanding and challenging at the best of times. I am pleased and heartened to see the spirit of friendship and camaraderie amongst the Eastern Charlotte firefighters. We are blessed to have each and every one of you volunteering for us. Any questions or comments on the report tonight? If not, we move on to the Public Works report. Councillor McQuarrie.
For Black's Harbor, they are doing repairs on some of their equipment that broke down in the last couple of weeks, and they're getting their lawnmowers and stuff all set to go in springtime when the weather starts changing over again, which won't be this weekend. Snow is coming.
Do you want to say that a little louder, Councillor McQuarrie?
Snow is coming.
There you go.
But it'll be followed by rain, so don't worry.
That's our weather report for tonight.
Yeah. For St. George, they're working on potholes, and new traffic arrows have been ordered, and both St. George and Blacks are doing their continuous water and sewer checks.
Great. Thank you, Councillor McQuarrie. Any questions or comments on Councillor McQuarrie? Sorry, Dederak, sorry.
No worries, no worries. This is a question for Chris, for our clerk. It says that, according to the Public Works report for St. George, it says that that representatives from QM Construction is going to come down to look at the waterline project for Riverview Avenue for this spring. This has been a big concern for people that live in that area. Could you just inform the public as to what's going on there? Like, is it an issue with the pipe? Is it like what's being replaced?
I'm afraid I don't have the information. What I know is that there was, I don't know if there still is or how much of it still is, but there was a long length of pipe there that we're guessing was defective. And that's why it kept breaking in that same place on Riverview Avenue. Time after time, we would replace so many feet of it, and then another few feet down, it would break again. So it's my understanding that that hasn't been giantly replaced yet. So it's, if I were to hazard a guess, that's what it would be, is to take that whole length, which is, I don't know how long it is, but it's not your standard few feet of pipe, and then the paving afterwards. But that's what it is. It's the water line pipe has caused the problems there repeatedly. Yeah.
So hopefully, once that gets done, then everything will get paved over properly on that street. I guess that's one of the biggest concerns there too, is that that's been ripped up for so many years that it hasn't been properly paved. So once this gets done, that it will be properly. Is that correct?
Yeah, and it was supposed to be temporarily paved last year, but all of our contracted paving projects were canceled over and over again. That's why a lot of the things that we had wanted to get done weren't done from outside, and so that's why there's patches that were done by our group, so that at least some things were done.
Any other questions?
When you say canceled, not canceled because of us, because of contractors?
The contractor canceled them, yes.
Yeah.
If there are no other questions or comments, I'm going to go to the Parks and Recreation report, and Councillor Hatt. This is our second one.
Yes. And things will probably get a little quieter on the arena side, so. So Drew Dugan prepared this, Parks and Rec Foreman, arena ice maintenance, every day and daily logs being done, general maintenance and around the arena, Zamboni checks. Same thing with the chemical system that's done, that has to have a sample took away every month on the cooling towers. Upgrades for lighting and heating are still going on. Scheduled date for CHCO for the arena date for the shutdown, and to discuss the new dehumidifier install. And we'll be doing some preventive maintenance in the engine room this year, so we don't have any catastrophic failures in the years to come. So that's a great thing to see, somebody leading that now and looking at predictive and preventive maintenance instead of a complete emergency when costs are through the roof. So contracted East Coast to see about the ductwork for the dehumidifier, waiting on quotes for the heat pump to be installed in the arena's lobby. We've been delayed a little bit on with the contractor for that, and they're also looking at some places for heat and the gym area that's been there. So wind door come down, there were some broken door handles, and remote control for the Zamboni door had to be fixed as well. Just doesn't give much detail, but something anyway. The new daytime clock, like tells you actual clock time, that failed this year. The remote control that programs it's from like 1980 something. It's finally failed, so good life out of it. Just time for an upgrade, so that's been ordered. So everybody will have the time again down at the arena. Saunders Equipment has came in and did a full service on the Zamboni like we do every year. New edger quoted out and looking at purchasing for that. Wind door approved and replaced the YMCA door entrance and the compressor door, so that was all approved to be shore them doors up. That was part of the upgrades that are going on. I'll touch on the bike rodeo in my report, and he's very excited to book Fog City Rollers, so that would be women's roller derby, to host their home tournament at that complex July 27th and 28th. So that's something new for us down here. That's great. This will bring teams from all over the Maritimes and possibly Maine and Quebec. So I'd love to see new activities in that building. Plans underway for repairs, the fencing around the dugouts, install pitching mound at Veterans Field out here, and plans underway for the new basketball nets to be finally installed and the fencing upgrades that are needed for out here at the courts here in St. George at McDavid Center. So I know there's some quotes on that, and we've got to discuss about budgets and stuff, but that's the report for that.
Great, thank you, Councillor Hatt. Any questions or comments on that report? If not, I'm going to go to committee reports, and Councillor Hatt, you have your report.
Sure. So it's March notes. So on March 4th to 8th, that was March break. For any of the school students, we hosted free skating and pucks for sticks, which was very well attended all week long. So that'll be something that we're going to try to schedule and do every year because it was very well attended. And let's be honest, it was a free activity for the kids, so that's even better. So the arena, Patrick Connors Recreation Complex, has shut down for the season. For the 23-24 season has come to an end. Sunday, March 17th, we shut everything down. I want to thank everyone who has rented and attended the activities at that arena this year. It was another great season, but it was my hardest year ever of looking after a facility, of being in this council or even previous councils. It was a terrible startup. We had a dehumidifier failure, then a hurricane with 25-degree weather in late September into October, then a multi-hour, almost a day-long power outage, a huge big storm once again that caused a power outage, 12 degrees Celsius in the middle of a wintertime, which caused really high humidity and with one down dehumidifier. So I want to say special thanks to especially all the councillors here, all the staff, and especially Drew and Jamie at the arena. It's been my worst year I've ever seen. So we've pretty much took the ice out and put it back in at the start of the season. The amount of time and effort that all the individuals that's helped. And like I said before, even from St. Stephen, lending hands, coming down, donating stuff for us to use to get up and running again. It's great to see two communities come together and all of us as a community come together. Many volunteers come down, public works on both sides. St. George and Blacks Harbor came down, made sure that we could get the ice in and only be approximately 2 weeks delayed. So really, they're the heroes out of this. So let's hope next year it's a little smoother on startup, and this season we get some preventive and predictive maintenance done down there. So let's switch gears. Recreation team has been very busy with the winter activities, but we're going to shift gears and get ready for spring and summer. We've already met with Fundy Minor Baseball president and Fundy Middle High School coach and gave them some updates and some brainstorming on bringing this field up to the quality that it needs to be. So the maintenance will come in the upcoming season. We all thought winter was over. The frost is coming out of the ground. Things are starting to dry up pretty good. We were really hoping to get a head start on that, but Councillor Wayne has done a snow dance, and a little too late for my snowmobiling season, but it's going to probably delay us a couple weeks to get things dried up again. But great team building with starting out with the baseball organizers. So we're going to develop a electronic book, same as we do for the arena, not so much for rentals, but just who's using the field, so get an idea of hours, and that's how we'll build some data to say how much load we have on our fields. Baseball's growing, so then that's a great thing. Festival planning is well underway. Summerfest will be July 19th through July 21st. Fog Festival will be Thursday, August 29th to September 1st. They're the dates right now, so they should be nailed in stone now. So stay tuned to the Eastern Charlotte Parks and Recs page as more information rolls out, and I will continue to do an update as we get closer to them seasons. There will be an Easter market on Saturday, March 23rd from 9 a.m. to 1 a.m. right here at the McAdavid Center. You may even see an Easter bunny there. On April 22nd, and I know we'll have another council meeting before this date, is Earth Day. I do encourage all to get out and help with cleaning up trash to make our community trash-free after the snow's all melted at the winter. In honor of Earth Day, we will be in need, as we've done before, picking some spots and needing help from our community to help us pull this off. That will be held on Saturday, April the 20th. Cleanup locations will be posted in the coming weeks, and we will continue to keep people updated either through the Parks and Recreation page or on the Eastern Charlotte page. And we will have an update for the next council meeting. The annual bicycle rodeo, safety rodeo, will be on May 1st. We encourage all age groups to attend. Lots of fun activities are in the works. So you are never too young or old for bicycle safety. So that'll be held at the arena in Blacks. And lastly, Eastern Charlotte has two community gardens, one located in Blacks Harbor on the Deadman's Harbor Road right next to the mayor's house. And the other one is in St. George on Brunswick Street. That's right here by the falls in St. George. The raised garden beds and ground beds are available to anyone who lives in Eastern Charlotte. And if you would like your name on the list, please just call the municipal office, 755-4320, and get your name on the list. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Hadd. That's a long report, so there must be a question or comment here from somebody. No?
I do.
Councillor Dederath, you're not going to let me down.
For the garden boxes, is there a fee this year, or is it free?
We've never had a fee before, so I would assume we're not gonna, but we'll let Chris chat.
We had fees in St. George prior to COVID, but we haven't since. That's not entirely true. We have a $5 key fee, which is a deposit. If you no longer are using the garden, you want your $5 back, just bring us back the key.
Any other questions or comments? Roller Derby, July 27th and 28th, is that correct? All right. All right. I remember watching that back in the 70s. That was pretty neat. They brought that back. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a big tournament, so it'd be nice to see. That's the next task that's on our Parks and Recs guys, is to start networking and fill that building full in the summertime.
Excellent. I like wrestling too, Grand Prix wrestling. That was always a big hit down there.
I'd like to see wrestling come back.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, that brings us to our financial statement. Now, I need a motion to accept the financial report tonight. Not everybody. Councillor Thompson, thank you. And I need a seconder for that. Deputy Mayor, thank you. Question or comment on the report? All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. That brings us to old business. There's none. New business, we're going to skip right up to 10C, which is the bylaw EC-11. This is called the Peddler's Bylaw. I'm going to go to Mr. Chris over here, right beside me. He's going to give me a little background on this, if you could.
Yeah, for sure. So the peddler's bylaw, we have, it's still active, a peddler's bylaw in St. George. So that still applies to all of the property in the old St. George boundaries. What this does is this takes the same bylaw, expands it to all of Eastern Charlotte. So this applies to your food trucks, your sidewalk sellers, the back truck sellers, anybody who doesn't have a permanent business that says in the bylaw, anybody with a temporary business. It's a $50 fee for the year, and you just fill out the application, bring it in, pay your fee. You get a license that expires on December 31st of that year, so you do have to file every year. Like I said, it's already active in St. George. This just applies it to all of Eastern Charlotte.
Great. And that's the whole idea of amalgamation too, is when we do bylaws, once we do a bylaw, it takes in all of Eastern Charlotte. That's why this bylaw is number 11. This council's worked on 11 bylaws. So what I would need from council tonight, I need a motion that council accept the first reading by title only of bylaw number EC-11, the Peddler's Bylaw. I need a motion for that tonight. Councillor Thompson, are you looking at me? Great, thank you. I'll let you read that.
I move that council accept the first reading by title only of bylaw EC-11, the Peddler's Bylaw.
We have a motion on the floor for a first reading of by title only of bylaw number EC-11, Peddler's Bylaw. I need a seconder for that. Councillor McQuarrie. Question or comment on the motion? Councillor Dedirakis, you're first.
I do have some questions. So what about for people that do yard sales, or a person that wants to sell lemonade? Does this bylaw interfere with that?
I think you asked this question last time.
I don't think I did.
No, it does not interfere with those.
Okay.
These are for-profit businesses, right? They're businesses. They're registered. It's not generally to an individual. They should have some kind of business behind them, but it's not just your nickel and dime kind of selling things. No.
And would you say that this is like a preventative measure, or is this like a current issue that we have?
So we have several, and it actually helps to, even though there's a fee, when people know there's regulations, it helps to increase awareness, right? So it should, in theory, create more opportunities for these businesses because they know they're legal in the area. So food trucks, seafood sellers, potato sellers, these are all things that we have around. And in some municipalities, they're not legal. And so this not only makes it legal, but it gives them a chance to come to us first, because they're going to wonder what places they can go. And so we help facilitate that for them a little bit. If they're going to be on private property, they have to have permission from the owner of that private property.
So if they are selling their goods on a private property, they would still have to have a permit?
Yep. But it's a one-time permit. And they could be a rotating location, right? We have one seller right now who goes in a few different places throughout Eastern Charlotte. He doesn't have to pay the fee more than once, but if he's on private property in each of those locations, he should have some kind of documentation from the owner that gives them permission to be having a business on their property.
Okay, so like the business owner's like the business owner's okay is not sufficient. It's also the municipalities. It's also
You mean the
municipal-
landowner?
The landowner,
The
that's what I mean.
landowner. It's not that we're okaying that location. We know that the property owner has okayed that location.
Okay.
Otherwise, you know, if someone's on private property and the owner doesn't know, because either they're out of town, because they're a seasonal resident, or because they're a business that owns a property but doesn't necessarily have anything on that property, it's just green space, but they still own it, there's still some liability issues that that property owner takes by having that business on their property.
But is that like a municipality issue or is it a business issue? Like that property person's issue? I'm just,
So
where I'm getting at with this is I'm just wondering if we're just introducing more and more red tape. That's why I'm wondering, like, I'm just,
So you
Yeah.
say introducing, but really this
it's been in part of the St. George for.
Exactly.
and it's
yeah.
been there since the 70s, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's not brand new, it's just
But also
an
for this
expansion.
bylaw though, but it does exclude people from selling fish though. Because it says here under section 3.3 that a person peddling or hawking fish, oysters, or any product harvested by him or her from the sea. So those individuals that person, for example, that it does sell fish, they would be exempted from this.
Well, I'm sorry, what's the section again?
Yeah, it's a section 3, it's under section 3.3, specifically 3.3.2. Yeah. That's a sea and farm, yeah.
So, yeah, as long as it's something they've harvested, right? If it's, so that's like your smelts, your stuff, your little things like that, yes, they would be exempt.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, I just remind council, this is not really a new bylaw. It's a new bylaw for Eastern Charlotte. It's been in effect in St. George. But I don't know if Black Cyber had it or not. They didn't. Okay, good. But it's the first. So basically what we're doing tonight is making this, since we're Eastern Charlotte, this bylaw will take in all of Eastern Charlotte. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have anything else on this? If not, we'll take it to a vote. All those in favor of a first reading of bylaw number EC-11, the peddler's bylaw, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary. And it's passed unanimously. Okay, now that brings us to second reading. And I'm looking for a motion that council accept the second reading in its entirety of bylaw number EC-11, peddler's bylaw. Okay, Councilor Thompson, thank you.
I move that council accept the second reading in its entirety of bylaw EC-11, the peddler's bylaw.
Great. And we need a seconder for that. Councilor, our deputy mayors, thank you. Question or comment on the second reading? All those in favor of a second reading of bylaw number EC-11, the peddler's bylaw, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. I'll declare that the second reading of bylaw EC-11, the peddler's bylaw. I will remind everybody here tonight or on TV that the bylaw will be made available here at the Municipal Hall and online. Is that correct? Okay, good. Because we haven't done a third reading, so it's not into law as of yet.
Do you know if we're setting a date for a public side of this? I don't see that listed here tonight.
Is that necessary?
This type of bylaw doesn't require one. If that's something you wanted to do, you could do that.
I would think that would be the right thing to do, but
I agree.
if it's okay, I'd put a motion forward that we set a date for the next meeting and to announce it, but
You have to pick a date.
Okay, what day is today? 20th? We have to have 2 weeks' notice, is that how it works?
So, yes, 2 weeks from today at least. There's not any like Alex left, right? Yeah, it's not planning or anything, so it's
Yeah.
not, there's no restrictions as to how much time we have to have.
Okay, I understand.
But 2 weeks is generally good, and what we use for notice for the public for meetings, so.
so can we pick April 9th? Do you see any reason for April 9th?
Tuesday, we would already be having a closed door council meeting Tuesday the 9th, because it's the Tuesday 1 week prior to council.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, so we could, so council will be together that night, so
That's right.
there'd be no problem doing it, absolutely. So if I can get you to give me a motion for that?
yeah. I would like to make a motion that we open this up for public consultation on April the 9th. You know, 6 o'clock to 6:30
Here.
here.
Great. And now we need a seconder for that.
I'll second it.
Councilor Dederakis. Okay, good. Question or comment on that motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. So just put that on your calendar, folks. That was what was the date? 9th? I'm just gonna put that on my calendar now.
April the 9th.
Gotcha. Okay, that brings us to 10D. It's the Age-Friendly Community Advisory Committee Terms of Reference. I need a motion for that tonight. Councilor Dederakis, maybe?
I didn't raise my hand.
Pardon me.
Pardon?
Did you want to give the motion for that?
Oh, for this one.
I know you've been
Sorry.
working. I
Can
know
I
you've
have
been
the-
working on the
the
file. That's why I
justification?
decided to give it to you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Apologies. So I move that council approve the term of reference for the Age-Friendly Community Advisory Committee.
Great, thank you. We have a motion on the floor. We need a second for that. Councilor McKay, thank you. Question or comment? Councilor Dederakis, do you want to speak a little more on this?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. So myself and Councillor McKay are on a committee for Age Friendly, and it consists of different members across Eastern Charlotte, including Joan Craig, who is in the room here. So with this mandate, which is what council will be approving today, it will give the committee direction as to what to do.
Councilor McKay, do you want to expand on that, or you're fine? That's-
I'm good.
No, I just want to give you the opportunity to speak. All those in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. Okay. Okay, the next one is 10E. This is a letter to the Honorable Mary Wilson, Minister of Service, New Brunswick. I have the letter here in front of me. Does council have that letter in front of you? Okay, I do. What I'll do, I'll read the letter out, and if somebody wants to make the motion to send it, that'll probably be the easiest way to do that tonight. Minister Wilson, the Municipality of Eastern Charlotte, is adding its voice to the Union of Municipalities of New Brunswick recent letter regarding the insert included by Service New Brunswick in the property tax bills. We are disappointed at your decision to pass blame to our community and avoid acknowledging the crucial role the provincial government plays in municipal finances. Local governments only have the ability to set the municipal tax rate. Every other function is controlled by your department or the provincial government. Unlike the provincial government, municipalities have an obligation to provide balanced budgets and only have one primary vehicle to do it. Residential assessment is our primary source of revenue and has been since Confederation. Even though the expectations of local government have changed significantly, our fiscal system has not. We are managing 21st century challenges with the 19th century fiscal framework. For instance, in 2024, the community of Eastern Charlotte lost $260,000 and $738 from equalization grant from the province of New Brunswick over the last 2 years since amalgamation. That's over $260,000. That's about $250,000. It is critical for our orders of government to work together to make a difference for our shared citizens. In future, we would ask that when you share this kind of information, that you tell the whole story so that everybody can understand and not just piece the risk being misinterpreted. We thank you for your attention to this matter. Sincerely, the Mayor of Eastern Charlotte. That's the letter that was given to us by UMN&B to send out to Minister Wilson. What I would need at this point is a motion from council to do that. And Councillor Dederakis, thank you. A seconder for that. Councillor Hatt, thank you. Question or comment? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. And that letter will be sent out to the minister. I'm going to give that to you, Chris. At this point, I'm going to go to correspondence. I'm going to go to Councillor McKay, if she could read out the letter from the New Brunswick Dart Association.
February 23rd, 2024. Eastern Charlotte, Mayor John Craig and councillors. The MBDA, New Brunswick Dart Association, have 16 individuals that have qualified to play at the Canadian Dart National Championships in St. Hyacinthe, Quebec in June. In order to fundraise for this event, we will be doing a sponsored dart shirt that every player gets to wear at all events. Last year was very successful. For your sponsorship of $200, you can get your company logo included on this shirt. The MBDA will give a receipt for your donation made. Please make checks to MBDA. Thank you in advance for your support and assistance. Steve Foster, MB Dart National Director, and Karen Tracy. I'll call Karen Tracy for pickup.
Great, thank you, Councillor McKay. Would you like to make a motion on this, Councillor McKay?
Sure. Which one is it? New Brunswick. I move that the letter from the New Brunswick Darts Association be referred to the Finance Committee for review and recommendation.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. We need a second for that. Councillor Hatt. Okay, we have a motion on that. Question or comment on that motion? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. Okay, Councillor McQuarrie. I'm going to go to you for the next one, donation from RCAFA. This is what's going to be happening in June in Penfield, and I'm going to let you read that letter if you could.
To Mayor, just dated March 6, 2024, to Mayor John Craig and councilors of Municipality of Eastern Charlotte. Dear Mayor and councilors, last August we met with members of your council and staff, Deputy Mayor, Councilors Wayne McQuarrie, Darrell Tidd, and Jason Gadet. We provided an update on our RCIF 100 Penfield Air Force Memorial Project. We requested of them that your community provide $5,000 in funding for this significant heritage, educational, environmental, and tourist asset to your community. Our budget is $250,000, and we are already at the 93% mark. We are in the final stages of site preparation and have ordered our signs and will shortly be adding another round of tree planting and floral plantings. The 3 memorial stones are being engraved by Smets at this time, and our RCIF 100 St. George red granite RCIF sculpture is almost complete. Plans are being finalized for our June 7th dedication. Our aircraft flyby is on track for that day, which will include Over Your Community, and the RCAF pipes and drums will provide our music. We want to recognize and thank me and Jason for their support and assistance over the several years that this project has been planned and implemented. Thank you, Council. Yours sincerely, Harold Wright, Chairperson.
Thank you, Councillor McQuarrie. Councillor McQuarrie, would you like to make a motion for a donation for that?
That's kind of a conflict, isn't it?
Nope. Well, that's up to you. I guess it's not for me to declare a conflict, but I would suggest that probably not, because you don't actually have any. You don't have any skin in the game, I guess is what you would say.
Okay, I'm gonna make the motion.
You just happen to be part of the committee, but that's fine.
Okay. I move that the council make a donation of $5,000 to the RCAFA Inc. to assist in the RCAF 100 Penfield Air Force Memorial Project.
We have a motion on the floor. I need a second for Deputy Mayor. Question or comment on that? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Contrary, and that's passed unanimously. That's going to be a big event happening in June, and there's going to be a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, Deputy or Lieutenant Governor is supposed to be down, and maybe the Governor General.
Governor General, yeah, exactly. Yeah. We're talking about flyovers and all that.
Yeah.
So it's going to be pretty big. It's the 100th. It's the 100th anniversary of the Canadian Air Force, and a lot of the activities happening in Canada is actually happening in our area. So it's kind of neat. That brings us to number 12. we're moving along pretty fast here. Public presentation appearances. This is the, please note, under bylaw EC-1, section 7.1, members of the public shall be entitled to address council for 5 minutes with no debate from council on matters of municipal jurisdiction. Just remind council, it's not a question and answer. It's just an opportunity for you to speak directly to council, and you have the opportunity then. Just all you have to do is give us your name and civic address, and then you have 5 minutes. Going once, twice, 3 times. Okay, that moves us on to statements by members of council. Actually, I have a couple. I was moving along too quick here. I just want to remind everybody, I had this given to me, that residents cannot pay their property taxes to the municipality. You have to go to Service New Brunswick to do that. We've been having a lot of people have been going online and making payments to the municipality, their tax bills, and then we have to give a refund to them. So in order for you to pay your taxes, you have to go to the Service New Brunswick. Eastern Charlotte denied, I'm going to read this out. I know it's online, but I'm going to read. I want to read it out again tonight because it's still a very large, a big deal. The municipality of Eastern Charlotte has been denied federal funding under the Housing Accelerator Fund. Announced by the federal government in 2021, the multi-billion dollar Housing Accelerator Fund is self-described as a funding program removing barriers to encourage local initiatives to build more homes faster, and that the program is helping increase housing supply and supporting the development of communities that are more affordable, diverse, and climate resilient. Eastern Charlotte, with the assistance of the Southwest Regional Service Commission, made an application worth $1 million that would assist in new housing initiatives. Eastern Charlotte, along with the other municipalities in Southwest New Brunswick, received the application denial late last week. This is very frustrating and disappointing. We have several housing developments waiting to move ahead, and this funding would have brought a couple of them over the finish line. This news only compacts the reality that our municipality received 40% less in community funding and equalization grant from the province when compared to 2022. With less and less financial support, it makes it difficult to support growth initiatives and address the housing demand that we have here in Eastern Charlotte. For the 2024 budget, Eastern Charlotte introduced over $200,000 towards a new development fund to assist with incentive grants for multi-unit developments. This municipal fund has been exclusively funded from industrial and non-residential tax revenue. Without an injection of new funding for new development from the upper levels, our only option is local tax revenue. We are still moving through with municipal reform and the sharing of costs associated with the larger municipality. The southwest of New Brunswick was totally left out. We were shut out. You've got areas of the province of New Brunswick that got a fair amount of the money, big chunks of money. Nothing against those communities. That's great that they got it. But the areas that got them got very large amounts. And I'm going to use Moncton, New Brunswick, $15.5 million. St. John, just up the road, $9.2 million. Bathurst, $10.5 million. Fredericton, $10 million. Here's the big one. The federal minister, lives in the Halifax area. Almost $80 million for Halifax. And what does the southern part of New Brunswick got? We got zero, nada. Nothing from Macadam to St. Stephen to St. Andrews to Eastern Charlotte, Campbell, Grand Manan. We got nothing thanks to the federal government. The federal government has shut out our end of the province, and that's money that could be spent in our area. The only areas that got money was the urban areas. The rural areas was totally left out, and that's not fair. We deserve part of that money as well. Giving all the money to all these large areas basically is telling people to move to the large areas. Don't come to the rural areas, and that's basically the message the federal government has sent to the southern New Brunswick, and that's not right. I'm going to go to the deputy mayor at this point.
Thank you, Mr. Craig. My only concern or comment tonight is regards to EC 06, the bylaw regarding ATV use on public streets. There's been a few questions. Travel on the approved streets sections shall be in the direction of vehicular traffic and on the paved portion of the street. They don't want us traveling on the shoulder to avoid shoulder damage. Access to any business along the approved route is encouraged and allowed. Parking on municipal and private spaces is allowed, and no named streets other than those posted and signed as open to ORVs are to be used. It's been a great first couple of weeks. There's been a lot of businesses gaining extra support from this, and the question I'm getting asked a lot now is, are we going to work on the Blacks Harbor area? And yes, it's coming soon. It's not a magic wand, one step to a time. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, for mentioning Blacks Harbor, because that was the next question. Good, Councilor Thompson. Councilor Hatt.
So I just want to touch on that because I've had a few people reach out to Councillor Hatt, the other Councillor Hatt's comments. So yeah, Blacks Harbor's not as easy because there's not a registered trail in or one that can come out the other side. So it means a new trail coming from Penfield to be routed with the ATV club. So as soon as that side of it gets done, I know myself and David have been for years trying to figure out a path that we can get down through there and try to get that on the map to get figured out. So that'd be great. So we can bring, I mean, how cool would it be to drive to Grand Manan on your quad and visit all them businesses? So, I mean, that would be a great thing. The other thing I want to touch on tonight is the water quality in Blacks Harbor. As your guys' representative in Blacks, I'm still very disappointed in the water quality. Another month has gone by. That seems to be no improvements or even headway of improvements. I'm so confused why, of the off-season of production season that there is in the plants down there, that why we cannot schedule to have the reservoir flushed and cleaned. Then another week, let's take the tower offline, have it flushed and cleaned. I'm quite sure this municipality will work with any level of government and businesses to make that happen. So, not sure who's listening tonight that can actually help to push this and make changes in this, because it seems like it's a big boulder, and trying to get it out of the quarry up on the hill and get it rolling is very hard. And it's just nuts. I have lived in Blacks Harbor for 16 years, going on 17 years, and I have never seen the water quality as bad as it has been. And that is before the huge infrastructure upgrade that was there years ago. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Hatt, especially speaking on behalf of Blacks Harbor. Councilor Dedirakis.
Yeah, I just want to thank everyone that came out to our open house on March 13th, I believe, here at the Macadavic Place. If you have any, if you couldn't attend, if you could forward your suggestions of what to do at Adventure Lane to myself or any of the other councillors here. But just a reminder, because it should be clear, we don't actually own the land, and it is a flood zone. So yeah, so just forward your suggestions to us, and we'll get back to you.
Thank you, Councilor Dedirakis. Councilor McQuarrie. Councilor McKay. Good. That brings us to a motion for adjournment. Councilor McKay, thank you very much. Thank you. You're good. Thank you. Thank you.